Winnies, welcome to my channel. I'm Fiona, and today guys, as you can tell from the title of the video, we are going to be talking about college. Yes, it is finally college application season, and for some it may have ended already depending on what college you want to apply to. If you guys don't know me, I am a senior in high school, and I just recently went through the whole college application phase, which was pretty stressful and nerve-wracking. Don't know what to tell you guys. You guys either get accepted, waitlisted, or rejected, and just want to tell you rejection is redirection, even though it is very cliche. But college is expensive. Even if you didn't get into your dream school, maybe that was a sign not to go heavily into debt in the first 4 years of your college life. Guys, we're not making this video to talk about rejection. We were talking about acceptance. And I did recently just commit to a college in my state, which I'm really happy about. This essay is for underclassmen who need help in the future. You don't know what to talk about, you don't know what to do, perhaps you already made your essay, but you don't really think it's that good. These are just like a lot of things that people think about, and since it is your essay, it is normal to be very critical about your own work. This is the 4th draft of my essay, so I did work on my essay for a good amount of time, which I definitely think you need to do to have at least a decent essay. Even if you had amazing grades in like your AP English classes, or you just been known to be a really good writer throughout your whole life, you know? If you work on a common essay for like the last 2 weeks before a college deadline, you're not gonna have an ideal essay that you like as well, okay? What I recommend for sure, if I could give any tip to anyone, work on your essay months before your application, okay? At least have 2 or 3 rough drafts and have some peer reviews. And I'm not saying you need to listen to some peer reviews, because I'm not saying that all peer reviews are accurate, but maybe listen to some peer reviews, just get more ideas, or you can incorporate more into your essay. And definitely talk to your English teacher. Your English teacher is gonna be the best help in creating a really good essay. I recommend AP Lang teachers, because my AP Lang teacher also helped me incorporate a lot of good transitions into my essay and gave me such good ideas as well. If you guys are nervous and underclassmen, maybe a junior, sophomore, freshman, the application process was definitely not what I thought it would be. There's definitely a lot more stress. When I was a junior, I thought junior would be the hardest class or hardest grade for me to be in, but after I'm halfway through senior year, almost about to graduate in a few months, I can say that senior year fall is definitely one of the hardest years. I got a job in senior year since I had like a lot of early release classes, which means I got out of school like a few hours earlier than other people. I had to have a job, and then at the same time I also had to work on my supplemental essays, and supplemental essays are optional essays for colleges. You have to research for those colleges to understand what they want. Also took the SAT again, so I had to study for the SAT. And then I also had to keep my grades up in my classes still, because colleges do ask you for your first quarter and first semester grades. So if you guys think that, oh, I can just slack off in senior year, I just have to get a failing to pass school, which is fine, but if you really want to go to a good college, they still look at your first semester of senior year. So please do not slack off during senior year, okay? And make sure to have really good time management and just relax. If you already have a lot of extracurriculars and good GPA, you might want to put your Common App like things in during the summer, or even during the end of junior year. You can make a Common App like a year before you even apply to the college. You just make it, you can input all the things that you want to put in, have that all ready, okay guys? Just have it all ready. That was one of the things that definitely helped me. I did prepare like a few months, putting in all my extracurriculars and honors and competitions and stuff to my Common App, so it's just way easier when it was finally that time to submit my application. So guys, I'm gonna stop yapping. I'm gonna yap even more after I read my essay, but let's just read my essay first, and I'll give you some tips on what not to do and what to do during your essay. So the prompt that I did, I believe it was the first one, and it is: some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without this. If it sounds like you, then please share your story. The word count for Common App essay, and I think QuestBridge as well, if you applied it through QuestBridge, it's going to be 650 words. Ideally, you want to stick between the 550 to 650 range. I'm not saying that you can't get in. If you're not in that range, you can still get into any college within that range, but for most essays, I see a lot of essays within like 500 to 650, okay? That's ideal. You don't really want to go in the 400s because I think that's a little bit too short. Usually when people think of the number 2, they dread it. 2 represents being second, or maybe it represents sharing something with someone else. But in my family, 2 is superior, 2 means winning, 2 means I finally beat him. As I acknowledge my hand, I acknowledge 2 I hold. I am confident I will be the winner. I can sense victory as there are only 4 turns left. I place a 3, he places a king. I could place my 2, but I don't. Pass. He then places the queen. Pass again. I see the grin on his face as he places his last card and yells, deuces. I held the 2 of spades, the highest card in the deck, so why did I pass? Game after game, I continued to strategize the best I could despite my dad winning 75% of the time. Even to this day, we played deuces a few times a week. 2 is an important number in my family, especially when it's just been my dad and me for most of my life. My father raised me on his own and gave me more than enough affection for 2 parents, but through my selfish eyes, I wanted more. I put the burden on my father for not providing me with a mother figure whom I could perform fashion shows with, practice new makeup products on, and do all the girlish activities an isolated child would want. Instead, I got placed in jiu-jitsu classes at the age of 2, practiced Muay Thai as a form of bonding, and subjected myself to nights filled with playing deuces instead of playing with Barbies. As much as I wanted to loathe my dad for not providing me with what a lot of other children have, I knew our unconventional experiences were what made me stronger. I witnessed him undergo even more sleepless nights when he was diagnosed with a neuropathic disease, one that causes immense weakness and pain varying the arms, legs, and other areas of the body. With this, I had to continually provide physical therapy to my father's injured areas, trying to fix the bulging veins and bumps appearing. At times, he had difficulty walking properly, resorting to crutches and me for help. Eventually, I developed skills in acupuncture, electric shock therapy, and some forms of physical therapy as well. However, though this does help temporarily, the disease is an incurable one that will affect my dad for as long as time. Even though my relationship with my father is not the perfect family blueprint, nor will it ever will be, it is a perfect type of dysfunctional for me. As I've grown up with just us 2, I've become a person who is determined to help others who don't have the means necessary to help themselves. Although my father is perfectly capable, still beating me in most of our deuces games, his shortcomings in dealing with his disease have given me a chance to grow into a person who acts instead of reacts. My uttermost desire to create a positive impact on multitudes of people through my resilience from these experiences is certain. With the knowledge of my father's condition, I developed an insatiable feeling of determination to help patients similar to him. As sleepless nights enwrap me as I divulge into a rabbit hole of research topics, my desire to pursue medicine becomes prevalent. Like in the games of deuces, I know my creative strategizing will help in my path to problem solving for others. Although I may not be able to cure my father's neuropathic disease, my ambition to help people obtain a more fulfilling life is what I strive for. For him and for others, I don't mind being second, although the next time I hold a 2 of spades, I promise not to pass. So that was my Common App essay. It is pretty personal, but I still wanted to post this on YouTube because I felt like it would give other people a chance to have more inspiration and, I don't know, just give some tips that I always see a lot of people do or don't. So in the beginning, I definitely wanted to incorporate a hook because that is definitely what you want to do in any Common App essay. For supplemental essays, it's a little bit harder to create a hook since you have a very short word count, which is 250. But for Common App, you really want to hook and add some suspense and anticipation, because if you tell them what happened, like for example, might have had a disease, I want to be a doctor. Like if I put on the first few sentences, why would anyone read my Common App essay? Why would the admissions officers even continue looking at it? You don't necessarily have to extend a metaphor like how I did it, because I related cards into my life. But you don't really have to have a metaphor, but just have some sort of hook. You want to show and not tell them, which is one of my do's. Is, as you can see, while explaining playing cards to my dad, and instead of saying, oh, I lost to my dad in cards, I explain what I did. I look at my hand, and people don't really know what kind of hand are you talking about. My hand, like my actual physical hand, or like talking about a deck of cards, you know? So as I look at my hand, I launch a 2 I hold, I'm confident I'm the winner. And then I place a 3, he places a king. I'm describing what is happening. I'm not blatantly just saying, I lost, you know? You gotta have some anticipation so people can really read your essay, because that's the whole point. This is telling a story. You're not necessarily giving a research paper, you're telling a story on what's going on and how this relates to you, specifically in this prompt as well. So with deuces, deuces means 2, and that's why there's so many ways to interpret 2, which I felt like was a really good hook, I guess. 2 can be being second, being inferior to someone else. The 2 I wanted to represent was me and my dad, because he is a single father. Even though it talked a lot about my father, it was mostly his impact on me. Because don't forget, this is not an application to get your father or your relative into college. It's an application for you to get into college, you know? So that's my first don't write an autobiography about someone else. You're not writing an autobiography about someone else and no growth or how that impacted you. You can just talk about someone else like how I did, but you want to shift the focus on you primarily. So, and it talks about, oh, how my dad developed a disease, how I helped him. He was hurting, but I helped him, and how I like use a lot of different forms of therapy to help him. And then it goes into my last paragraph, which is the main focus is me talking about how I want to focus on medicine, how this caused me to do this, okay? So you're not just talking about this traumatic event, you're talking about how this impacted you to do this, okay? And I really wanted to talk about my love for medicine, because I do want to go into pre-med. Whatever college I want to get into, I would definitely go into pre-med. Side note, a lot of people do think that pre-med is a major. It is not a major. It's a field, or it's like a path. You don't have a pre-med major. A lot of people were like, yeah, pre-med's a major. No, girl, it's not. Pre-med is a path that you take, and you can take all these classes required to go into medical school, which is the pre-med path. You're taking classes you need to get into medical school. But the actual major, you can major in anything really, but most pre-med path majors is like psychology, biology, biochemistry. For me, I did apply to neuroscience for most of colleges I applied to. And if they didn't have neuroscience, I would apply to biochemistry. So just want to put that out there. Back into my essay. So after it talks about how I want to help patients similar to him, because I witnessed all these events that happened to him and how he was in pain, it caused me to want to help more people in the future. And then in the last 2 sentences, it says, for him and for others, I don't mind being second, which again talks about how I put other people before me. Second, back to deuces. Starting out with my metaphor, ending with my metaphor, okay? Good hook and then good ending. Putting others above me, basically. Simple as it is. And then the second sentence, it says, although the next time I hold it 2 of spades, I promise not to pass. And this can be interpreted in so many ways. Again, you gotta know that you're writing this for admissions officers. Admissions officers have read thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of applications. So they know how to interpret things, and they've just used to this. If you're asking for peer reviews, sometimes like a lot of deep meaning with a lot of interpretation, a lot of people don't get that firsthand. But since admissions officers' job is to read essays and analyze people's applications, they can interpret simple things like this. So although the next time I hold it 2 of spades, I promise not to pass, it means like I'm grabbing opportunities, grabbing whatever's before me. Even though I am a caring person and I can put others above me, I still am pretty strong and resilient to grab whatever opportunity there is. So I already talked about my first do, which is show and don't tell, and I already talked about my first don't, which is having basic autobiography about someone else. My second don't is writing a sports injury essay. There's so many people who always do essays talking about how they played volleyball, tore their meniscus. If that sounds like you, I definitely recommend to change it if you want to go to a school with a lower acceptance rate, because that's very cliche. Sure, you can talk about that, not original. A lot of people always write about that. I think I've like read like 3 people talking about that already. Tearing your meniscus is horrible. A lot of physical therapy that changed. You can't do sports anymore. But it's very cliche. You can't really change it into something about you because everyone already does it. It's not that different from other people. And if you're within a pool of tens of thousands of applicants, you want to differentiate yourself into being someone that didn't tear their meniscus and then grow from that, you know? Okay. So if you want to do it and have your own plot twist, which I don't know how you're going to do that, I just don't recommend doing it at all. Number 3 don't is talking about moving. Guys, I've moved from California to Texas, moved to 3 different high schools in Texas. I could talk about moving all I want, but do not do that in your Common App essay. That could be like an optional supplemental essay, but for a main essay, do not talk about that. Everyone around the world has moved, like most people have moved. You're also not going to differentiate yourself with that. And when I'm talking about these don'ts, also not saying that you have to have a traumatic experience or something to be able to have a good Common App essay. You can make something as little as going to an ice cream shop and seeing different flavors and how that like connects to your ethnic diversity or something, you know. You can do something as simple as that, like going to an ice cream shop or like seeing a cat or something. I don't know, like you can make such simple events into having a greater impact into your essay. So you definitely don't need a traumatic event or anything to have a good Common App essay. This is like kind of like a little fourth dump that I just put in. Do not talk about a school, like a university that you want to go into your main Common App essay. That is insane. Your Common App essay is going to be read by every college you apply to. So if you're talking about like Harvard, say you want to go to Harvard and you're talking about going to Harvard into your Common App essay, no, that's something for your supplemental essay, which is your short essays that you give to every single college that you apply to. Don't talk about wanting to go to a school, like a university that's not their university, into your Common App essay. I don't think I need to clarify anymore. So my second do is you don't need to be afraid to be cringy in a lot of these essays, because having an essay is something that's about you and something personal to you. So you don't really need to be afraid to be cringy. I was trying to help my friend with writing her Common App essay, and she was like, I'm too afraid to be cringy. I don't want to write about these things because it's just too cringe. Sure, it's cringe to you, but I'm sure a lot of like admissions officers and your peers would love to read one of your cringe essays. It's definitely part of character development, okay? It's part of character development. It kind of hooks people in, depending on what kind of cringe, okay? Sometimes a little bit too much cringe is not good, but like having a little bit of like cringe, like, oh, I love my father, dad, I don't think that's cringe, okay? She didn't want to talk about sappy things, which is what she considered as cringe. Talking about sappy things is totally normal and fine. And then that also leads to my number 3 do, which is talk about growth. When you're talking about sappy things, you can't just talk about like traumatic events primarily. You gotta talk about how that changed you and how that caused you to grow. Because the whole point of like a story is how you grew from it. If you're saying that someone died in your family or your cat died, and you're just talking about how you're so sad about your cat dying, what does that say about you? How is that affecting you in the future? What is going on? That there's no point in writing an essay that's just about something sad, you know? You gotta write about your growth and how that could contribute to the school, because this school wants to see how good you will be at their school and how you're gonna make a name for yourself after their school that can give some recognition to them. So talking about sappy things and not talking about how your growth or what you want to do in the future is not ideal. Those are my 3 do's. There are some really good sites that I do recommend if you guys need some inspiration and you just don't want to constantly scroll on YouTube videos. You can go to John Hopkins Essays That Worked, and those are essays that people put in their Common App that got them into John Hopkins, and they have a really good variations of different essays, so many different essays that people have written about and incorporated so well. So definitely check that out. And then if you guys also need help with supplemental essays, which a lot of colleges do ask, definitely go to, I think it's called My Essay Dude or Your Essay Guy. I forgot. It's like My Essay Dude, I think. You don't have to pay for it, and they just give you good advice on what to write on your Common App essay or short essays for different schools, for big schools too. Say if you want to apply to Cornell or Duke or Harvard or Princeton or something, they do have tips on what they look for and what other essays got them into, or like UT Austin, you know. I think they have a lot of schools there that can give you help. I think that's all of the tips I have for today. If you guys have any questions or anything else you need help with, probably not the right person, but you can still ask me. I definitely did want to do a video about my Common App essay because I think there's so many tips a lot of people don't have, especially in different schools. Some schools don't provide you with good college prep, and you gotta resort to YouTube videos to see some help. I hope this is one of the YouTube videos that pops up and can really help you in the future. I hope this video did help you guys. I'm not sure if I just yapped all the time and didn't give you guys anything helpful, but hopefully you did learn something from this. So I wish you guys all the best in your college endeavors, and I do hope you guys get into your dream college, and if you don't, maybe it wasn't meant to be because the universe had something different in store for you. I also do think that there are some colleges that are very expensive, so maybe the universe also didn't want you to be in debt for like the first 4 years of your adult life. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and to always be yourself and not to let haters doubt you in applying to an Ivy League if you want to apply to an Ivy League, because that's definitely gonna be looked upon by others that don't have as high aspirations as you. Always stay true to yourself and don't let the haters get to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys subscribe and like this video if you did enjoy it. If you guys have any other recommendations or questions for me or what to make, please comment down below. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.